We have a major fire at a U.S. artillery manufacturing plant. This is a big one, folks. And at the same time, we have Congress passing a monstrosity of a spending bill, not 1 cent for the U.S. border, but $300 million to protecting the Ukrainian border from Ukrainians trying to cross it. Yeah, wrap your head around that one. Also, we have reports from you guys on shortages that we haven't yet covered on this channel, as well as discussing several major layoffs out there that are happening as well. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and I am back in the States. It's good to be back, so good Sunday to you all. And we're back to using the camera that we normally use. I know some of you guys were like, things are kind of out, and I was having to make do because laptop and tech issues. Sorry about that. We do thank our sponsor before we jump in, Genesis Gold Group. They do a fantastic job helping people get out of stocks and bonds and into something safer in their retirement accounts. If you're a 401k or an IRA and you want to get into physical metals, you might want to talk to Jonathan and his team. There's a link at the end of the video. All right, so Congress just voted to betray the United States with a billion-dollar spending bill. And this is massive, friends. They just voted to give $61 billion to Ukraine. They gave significantly less to Israel and to Taiwan, which are actually our allies. And Israel more so actually contributes to the United States security. A lot of people don't really know that, but a lot of our special operations teams cross-train. And quite frankly, a lot of our special operations teams have actually borrowed a lot of tactics and equipment from the Israeli military, as well as the fact that a number of U.S. weapon systems were actually developed by the Israeli military. Israel actually acts like an ally. Everyone else seems to be mooching off the United States, it seems like. But $61 billion to Ukraine. Let me just put that in perspective, including $300 million to secure their border with Poland to keep Ukrainians from fleeing their own country. $300 million to secure Ukraine's border, nothing to secure the United States border. I promise you they will start securing the U.S. border once they institute the draft. That's when they'll start doing it. When you start trying to cross the border, that's when they'll start securing the border. To put in perspective, $61 billion. That would be the cost of us building 3 brand new Ford-class nuclear-powered carriers. 3 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. That's what we're just going to give to Ukraine, this next month or whatever. Or instead of doing that, to put in another perspective, an M1 Abrams tank, we could buy 2,500 of them. Or to put that in context, we would be replacing over half of the entire U.S. inventory of main battle tanks. Just replace them with brand new shiny ones. We could have done that, or we could just give that money to Ukraine. Or, one more final example here, we could have built 30 brand new Arleigh Burke Aegis destroyers, which is basically replacing almost half the U.S. fleet of destroyers. We could have done that, or we could just give that, you get the point, right? In another news point here that is scary as opposed to infuriating, one of the 7 U.S. arsenal manufacturing plants that produce artillery shells. Now, this one actually produces 1/3 of all U.S. 155 millimeter artillery shells. Now, we've been giving a lot of those 155 millimeter artillery shells to said country over in Eastern Europe. We've also been giving an undisclosed number to Israel. Well, this plant that produces 1/3 of them approximately, that plant had a fire. something caught fire. And of course, all the local officials and everyone within the Defense Department and everything like that are extremely tight-lipped. The reason why we know there was a fire was because people nearby saw smoke coming out of the building. And so they reluctantly admitted that there had been a fire, that it was extinguished with no casualties. And that's all they'll say. How much was damaged? Hopefully, explosives were not caught fire or anything like that. If it did, there probably would be more noticeable reactions out there. But depending on how much damage was done to the plant, could this be sabotage? Very well could be. And so that is definitely on the table. I'm sure investigators are putting that on the table. To just give you an idea of where we are with our artillery shells. Now, these are the main, these are your bread and butter artillery shells. So like if you're like, what's an artillery shell? An artillery person probably would say standard 155 millimeter, okay? So we deal in millions of these things. Now, right now we're producing, last year we were making approximately 28,000 per month. Now they have their target goals of what they're supposed to be producing by the end of this year, but I think that those numbers are, yeah, a little bit laughable. Just like everything else the Defense Department does, it's always over budget and way behind schedule. So don't hold your breath for them actually making artillery shells at the projected amounts by the end of this year like they will. Because they gave us projections earlier and they went from like 25,000 up to like 28,000. They were supposed to have gone up by the end of last year. They're supposed to be up over 50,000 shells per day, but that didn't happen. Anyway, so we're making 28,000 shells per month overall, not just this plant, all the plants together. And we have given 2 million of them as of last summer. And noticeably, they stopped sharing numbers with us after that point. You have to read between the lines a little bit. I would pencil that in that we have by now given more like somewhere to the tune of 3 million 155 millimeter shells to Ukraine. We also, in a separate issue, we borrowed 300,000 from South Korea with the promise to pay them back. So we've really borrowed and given 3.3-ish million shells, and that's a conservative number, okay? We are absolutely draining our stockpiles of artillery shells, which are huge. We're seeing this war over in Europe, how many artillery shells are needed, and the United States is draining its reserves before it potentially gets into a conflict with China. We don't even know how many we've given to Israel because no numbers have been disclosed whatsoever. So that number could be even higher than that. But right now, at current production levels, it would take us 9 to 10 years to replace our artillery shell reserves. And once again, that's a conservative number of how many we've given away. 9 to 10 years, friends. That is, we are selling away our future. And to cover up graft, major graft. Important people in Washington, D.C., let's just put it that way. People who reside in certain buildings. Those people have made deals in the darkness, and we are absolutely doing everything we can to cover those deals up. That's what's really going on in Eastern Europe. That's really the heart of the matter. They got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and they don't want anyone to get the evidence of what they were doing. This is a report from Vicky. Changing notes just a little bit. South Central North Carolina, banquet pies, mostly watered down gravy, hardly any meat or vegetables. Gross. A bunch of us have been saying that about banquet pies for years, but apparently it's getting worse. All right. Daniel says, yep, I'm an RN for a nationally high-ranked hospital system, and my agency is closing operations in Florida. First for me. Big news there. Brad says, update from Springfield, Missouri. And if you guys have an update, please use the word update in your in your comment. Just any comment on this channel, we'll get it there as long as you have the word update in there. And make sure you give us some sort of geographical location too, so it's useful. Update from Springfield, Missouri, from Brad. Tracker boat lays off 395. And they're laying off another 95 next week. They're quietly doing this in spurts, not in the local news. My niece worked there up to last week. They gave her a 6-week severance package and said they will call her first. Please look up Tracker Boat in the Ozarks. It is one of the largest boat manufacturers in the area. No one is buying recreational watercraft in this area because we're all broke, but pretending not to be. That's what we're all doing across the entire country, right? Pretending not to be broke, but yet we are. Dimbula Blade Works in Australia says, general information, and this is useful information. When a hack is achieved, a scan of the network is first done to find all the detection applications. So once they get into a system, it is general principle. What they do is they first scan the network to figure out what the extent of the network is, find all detection applications, so what are the security protocols in there, then complete a mapping of the entire network, then a few backdoors are installed, and service access modems plotted and connected to the back door. So they can get back in no matter what happens, right? And then the system is left alone for up to 90 days to ensure that a backup is made. These systems will automatically back up every so often, and you'll see why in just a second. And then the hack is attacked and data is moved, copied, encrypted. The first thing the IT teams will do is wipe the system and reinstall and go to the last good backup. They'll reinstall the last backup, which, if the hackers are competent, have already installed backdoors into, right? And that's written over in the system. Then using the noted service modem and password and users, hackers added the backdoors are enabled to go back in again. Just letting you know how it's done and how lazy practice on the security, IT security people ensures attacks continue over and over again. P.S. Dehydrated and instant potatoes have jumped 20% in price. Only 2 main brands now in Australia. They say Oz, but we all know it's Australia. Aldi hasn't sold instant mashed potatoes since the pre-scam days and confirmed that they would not again for the time being until another supplier was sourced. D Freak says, my parents are in a high-end retirement community in Southern Oregon. They have a landline only, so no cell phones. I called them and they said they couldn't call me because the landlines aren't set up to call out anymore. Additionally, my dad can't get paperwork or benefits from the VA because they have the wrong type of phone. I'm honestly confused by this. My dad is a retired engineer. He's not stupid. I have no idea what's happening. What's happening is that the government really wants you to be carrying your tracking device around with you wherever you go. And that's exactly what happens with that thing. It tracks everywhere you go. If you want to go somewhere that you don't want to be on the grid, you don't want to be tracked with, you need to take that cell phone and drop it into a Faraday cage. They have bags and stuff like that you can use for that. Or you need to leave your cell phone at home or leave it somewhere else, right? That's really your only options, and you can't pull it out of that Faraday cage without lighting up your location onto the network and everything like that. So be aware of that. Be hyper aware of the fact that you're being tracked everywhere you go, and even turning off your cell phone is not enough these days. That's why they have the batteries stuck in there. You can't just withdraw your batteries anymore, and that is because they want you to be trackable even when your cell phone is, quote, off. Sad to say, but that is the truth these days. when I was working overseas and everything like that, and we're talking with actual security experts, they taught us and trained us that until you strip the battery out of your cell phone is still trackable, and it is still possible to listen into conversations. And this was back 15 years ago. Okay, friends. So just imagine what it is today, and then now they've welded those batteries into your phone so you can't take them out. Subscribe button says, which is always a good reminder to subscribe, right? But they say, I was scheduling my wife for a haircut a couple of years ago. It was $9 for the haircut. We live in Bradenton, Florida, and now the same barbershop is charging between $18 and $22 for the haircut, and an additional $11 if you want a shampoo. Yep, that's what we're seeing out there inflation-wise. Bad policy decisions in Washington, D.C. are destroying the purchasing power of your dollar. It doesn't matter if the stock market has doubled in the last 20 years if the purchasing value of your dollar has cut in half. We're treading water, friends. Kay says, South Kansas City, 18-count pasture-raised eggs at Sam's was $4.98, now is $5.72. $4.98 up to $5.72. We're seeing egg prices spiraling upwards once again, so be aware of that. If you want to get stocked up on eggs, now is the time, because it's probably going to continue to go up dramatically. Here's a different shortage. Friends, Mountain Girl sharing feminine products are at their lowest. I don't check that aisle normally, but we'll take your word on that. Also, other ladies, if you're seeing that same thing, let us know down in the comments down below. Not to get too personal, gentlemen, but women's panty liners and 100% cotton feminine products are empty on the shelves. That includes Walmart, Target, and the Dollar Tree. Obviously, that is a big problem. So let me know if that is more widespread out there, or if that's just localized in certain areas. Okay. Angela says 2 times that I bought bread within days of getting them, they got mold on them. And at grocery outlet, I had to take back pasta because when I got home, there was mold on both packages. And many times I have bought vegetables or fruit to open up, and sometimes they've already gone bad inside the packages. This is in Central Coast of insane California. James says, I went to Sam's Club early today to get marked down beef in cans. It was very successful. Anyway, they are closing out their 4 packs of 12-ounce cans at $10.61, a good deal. There is a prepper on YouTube I highly recommend called Chef Prepper, and I just checked out their stuff because of your recommendation, and he has good stuff. He tests various foods, cooking methods, and other such things, and rated the Sam's Club beef highly. Aldi's has pint jars for $8.99 a dozen, and jar lids for $1.99. All right, friends, if you guys want to get some more information from Genesis Gold Group, there's a link right there. If you want to check out Chef Prepper and how to make a simple cinder block grill, there's that link up to that video right up there. Thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.